When a fluke airport accident nearly takes a young boy's life, Dr. Murphy springs into action.
Excuse me?
With no available surgical tools, he's forced to rely on what he can find. A box cutter for a scalpel, some duty-free bourbon for sterilization, and plastic tubing and a bottle fashioned into a pump, saving the boy from a collapsed lung.
He saved his life.
That singular skill is known as improvised medicine, and Dr. Luanne Freer is one of the few real-world physicians who make it their practice.
There are just a handful of us physicians who find this great challenge, and it's just a real turn-on to be able to MacGyver, you know, a way to deal with an emergency, how to get somebody better when you don't have all the equipment.
Here at Mount Everest, the world's tallest and deadliest mountain, known to locals as Goddess Mother of the World, sits a tented clinic so isolated, medical improvisation is a must. Dr. Luanne Freer has acquired the skills of a virtuoso. Freer, a wilderness enthusiast, launched this place 14 years ago. It sits nearly 18,000 feet high on the side of the mountain, and it's open 2 months each spring when hundreds of people come from around the world to try and summit Mount Everest. In her time, Freer has fashioned a stretcher from coiled rope and a tarp. She set broken bones with trekking poles.
Too much pain?
She's even extracted teeth with pliers from local Sherpa guides.
Yeah, it's pretty rooted in there.
But it's the visiting climbers who usually need the most serious attention. This is a deadly, and has been a deadly, adventure for many people.
Tragedies happen every year. Our bodies are not designed to live in this austere environment. There's no oxygen, you know, the conditions are brutal.
So brutal that nearing the 29,029-foot summit, oxygen ceases to exist. It's an area called the death zone. By far the greatest risk to climbers is high-altitude pulmonary edema, or HAPE. Reduced oxygen in the air causes some blood vessels in the lungs to dangerously constrict. The pressure causes those vessels to leak, filling the airways with blood, making breathing difficult, even impossible. But perhaps Dr. Freer's greatest MacGyver episode happened when she crossed paths with Joe and Liz Hughes. Avid mountaineers, the couple met while climbing a mountain in South America, though they deny it was love at first height.
No. It was friendship. It was a kindred spirit. You're doing something that's very dangerous. We watched out for each other.
Both were experienced climbers. They felt like they were destined to be together, though it also seemed they would never hear little footsteps behind them.
So you didn't even think you could get pregnant?
No, it wasn't supposed to be in the cards for me.
But conquering Mount Everest was, and the couple vowed to do it as a team.
It can be the most incredible experience, but it's also a killer. People die there.
Yes.
Were you fully aware of the risks? Did it make you give it a second thought at all?
Of course, there's always, you know, doubt and some fear, but I was up for the challenge and I was ready to do it. So
You gamed the risks and figured out this is worth the risk.
It's worth the risk.
After 6 months of intensive training, they set off in the spring of 2004. Their plans quickly went awry.
When was the first time you met them?
They came to meet me because they were concerned because Liz kept getting dizzy and passing out.
What did you think as you examined her and talked to her?
I thought, well, we better just make sure that you couldn't be pregnant, because pregnancy can cause you to feel a little bit dizzy and woozy.
she diagnosed me pregnant on the mountain.
And you had no idea?
No idea. And it shocks me to this day to even think about it. Yeah.
Wow.
The news thrilling, the timing not so much. About to be a mother, Liz knew this climb of a lifetime was over.
Did you tell her she should descend immediately?
I did. We both cried a little bit.
Joe was so overjoyed he proposed on the spot.
I said, "Do you want me to come?" And she was like, "No, I can't let this stop your life stream."
As Liz headed home to the States, Joe pushed on, scaling 21,000 feet up the side of Mount Everest. 8,000 more to go before he can claim victory. Along the way, he'd been making recordings for students back home who were following his Everest adventure.
For the past 4 days, we've been sitting in base camp. It feels like forever. When you sit, you get weaker. Your muscles start to get tight.
Now, suddenly feeling weak, he made what would be his last dispatch.
But I dig deep. I pushed so hard that I collapsed. And this morning, all I want to do is sleep.
All of a sudden, I'm feeling like I can't breathe. I'm feeling tired. I feel like I'm working hard. But in my mind, I'm climbing Mount Everest. You're supposed to feel like this.
A film crew on the mountain turns its lens on Joe, who can no longer walk without help. Tantalizingly close to the summit, his lifelong dream slips away as an emergency call goes out.
American climber Joe Hughes has to be helped and often carried down over 5,000 vertical feet, passing through the treacherous Khumbu icefall.
We got reports from other climbers who passed him on the icefall and said, boy, this guy doesn't look very good.
Fearing the worst, Luanne sends Sherpas with a stretcher to help bring Joe down the mountain.
Coming at you, Luanne.
Blood is beginning to flood Joe's lungs. His life is slipping away. But instead of being wheeled into a hospital, he's being carried into a tent. It will require the daring improvisational medicine of Dr. Freer and a big dose of good fortune for Joe to make it home alive.
Hi everyone, George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel. If you'd like to get more videos, show highlights, and watch live event coverage, click on the right over here to subscribe to our channel, and don't forget to download the ABC News app for breaking news alerts. Thanks for watching.